Imagine being born into a world of gray. The year is 1947. You're living in a small, isolated village in Austria, a country that has just been devastated by the Second World War. The atmosphere in your home is strict, cold, and suffocating. Your father, the local police chief, demands absolute obedience and conformity. He looks at you and sees a boy who should grow up to be a quiet, compliant officer of the law, marry a local girl, and live a completely ordinary, invisible life. But inside your mind, a completely different reality is playing out. You feel a burning, almost uncomfortable energy in your chest. You look around at the mountains and the small-town mentality, and you realize with absolute certainty that you do not belong there. You are starving for greatness in a place that only serves mediocrity. One day, you walk past a shop window and see a magazine featuring Reg Park, a champion bodybuilder who went on to star in Hercules movies. You buy the magazine, you read the story, and in that exact moment, a psychological phenomenon occurs. The gray world around you vanishes, and your mind locks into a single, glowing target. You have just activated a mental state that will change the course of history. You have activated tunnel vision. The boy who experienced this profound psychological shift was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tunnel vision, in the context of high-performance psychology, is not about narrow-mindedness. It is the absolute, ruthless elimination of peripheral distraction. It is the ability to construct a future reality inside your mind so vividly and with such overwhelming conviction that the present physical reality simply feels like a temporary waiting room. When Arnold began lifting weights in the freezing, unheated gyms of Austria, people thought he had lost his mind. His father mocked him, his friends didn't understand him, and his mother actually cried, begging him to stop staring at pictures of oiled, muscular men. The noise from his environment was deafening. They told him he was wasting his life. But Arnold possessed a terrifying level of mental insulation. He later explained that when he closed his eyes, he didn't just hope to become a champion. He actually saw himself standing on the podium, holding the trophy, feeling the cold metal in his hands and hearing the crowd screaming his name. Because his brain had already experienced the victory in high definition, the grueling, agonizing physical pain of lifting thousands of pounds of iron was no longer a sacrifice. It was simply the necessary biological mechanism required to catch up to the reality he had already created in his head. This is the first monumental secret of Arnold's mindset. Most people fail because they try to work toward a goal they do not fully believe in. They rely on motivation. But motivation is an emotion, and emotions fluctuate. Motivation will abandon you on a cold Tuesday morning when your muscles are screaming and your bed is warm. Arnold didn't rely on motivation. He relied on vision. When you have pure tunnel vision, every single action, every meal, every drop of sweat, and every hour of sleep is mathematically calculated to serve the ultimate objective. There is no questioning the process because the outcome has already been decided in the theater of the mind. He trained until he was sick, he broke into his gym on weekends when it was closed, and he forged his body into an undeniable weapon. By the time he was 20 years old, he had conquered the bodybuilding world, winning the title of Mr. Universe. The skinny Austrian boy had manifested his first impossible dream. He moved to America, but the universe does not stop testing you just because you win one battle. Having dominated bodybuilding, Arnold set his sights on an even more impossible target: Hollywood. He wanted to be a leading man. He wanted to be a global movie star. When he walked into the offices of top Hollywood agents in the 1970s, the reaction was brutal. They looked at his massive 250-pound frame and laughed. They told him the era of the muscle man was dead and that the public wanted small, relatable actors like Dustin Hoffman or Woody Allen. They listened to his thick, heavy Austrian accent and told him he sounded terrifying, like a Nazi machine. And finally, they looked at his name, Schwarzenegger, and told him it was completely unpronounceable, too long to fit on a movie poster, and commercial suicide. Every single piece of expert feedback told him that his physical form, his voice, and his identity were fundamentally flawed. They offered him tiny roles playing silent bouncers, wrestlers, or villains. They told him to change his name to Arnold Strong. This is the exact moment where 99% of human beings surrender. When the absolute top authorities in an industry tell you that the very core of who you are is wrong, the natural ego response is to shrink, to conform, or to quit. But Arnold's tunnel vision activated once again. He understood a psychological principle that most people never grasp. He realized that the things society labels as your greatest flaws are actually your most valuable assets, precisely because they make you completely impossible to ignore. He refused to conform to the mold. He decided that instead of shrinking himself to fit into Hollywood, he would force Hollywood to expand to accommodate him. He didn't hide his body. He displayed it with overwhelming charisma. He took acting classes, he took accent removal classes, but he never lost his unique sound. He embraced the fact that he was an anomaly. And then the alchemy happened. When the movie Conan the Barbarian was cast, the director John Milius famously said, "If we didn't have Arnold, we would have had to build him." The grotesque body they told him to hide became the exact reason he secured his first massive leading role. A few years later, James Cameron was casting a low-budget science fiction movie about a killer cyborg from the future. He met with Arnold and realized that Arnold's heavy, robotic, seemingly emotionless accent, the exact accent agents told him would ruin his career, was the most terrifying and perfect voice for a machine. That movie was The Terminator. The accent didn't ruin him, it made him immortal. His unpronounceable name didn't confuse people. It became a global brand so iconic that it didn't even need a first name. He took every single stone they threw at him and used them to build his castle. How do you apply this terrifying level of self-belief to your own life? It begins with how you handle the concept of a safety net. Arnold is famous for his absolute hatred of Plan B. He argues that the moment you start calculating a backup plan, you are taking your focus, your energy, and your tunnel vision off your primary goal. You are subconsciously preparing for failure. You're telling your brain that it is okay to fall. When a tightrope walker is suspended 100 feet in the air without a net, their focus is absolute. Every muscle is engaged, every breath is calculated because failure means death. When you remove Plan B from your life, you're forced to perform. You stop operating at 60% capacity and you finally tap into the reserve tank of human potential that is only accessible when your back is against the wall. Secondly, you must learn to filter the noise of the naysayers. You will always be surrounded by people who project their own limitations onto you. When a friend, a parent, or a colleague tells you that your business idea is too risky, or your art is too weird, or your goal is too big, you must understand the psychology behind their words. They are not talking about your capabilities. They are talking about their own fears. They are looking at your mountain and saying, "I could never climb that." Do not let their fear infect your vision. Arnold famously called these people the naysayers, and he used their doubt as neurological fuel. Every time someone told him no, he internally translated it to "watch me." You must become a master of this internal translation. You must learn to smile politely, nod at their concerns, and then quietly return to your tunnel vision. Finally, you must understand the concept of the reps. Arnold's philosophy is deeply rooted in the physical reality of the gym. You do not grow muscle by simply thinking about it, you grow it by doing the repetitions. Thousands and thousands of repetitions. This applies to every aspect of your life. If you want to build a business, write a book, or master a skill, you must put in the reps. It is the unglamorous, repetitive, exhausting daily work that eventually builds the masterpiece. There are no shortcuts. There are no magic pills. There is only the vision and the reps required to reach it. When the reps become painful, when the boredom sets in, when the rejections pile up, that is when the tunnel vision must shine the brightest. Your life is a block of marble and you are the sculptor. Society will constantly try to hand you a chisel and tell you how to carve it. They will tell you to make it smaller, to make it safer, to make it look like everyone else's. Drop their tools. Take back the chisel. If they tell you your voice is too weird, speak louder. If they tell you your dreams are too big, expand them even further. The people who change the world are never the ones who fit in. They are the ones who are so profoundly obsessed with their own internal vision that reality has no choice but to warp around them. Stop looking for permission. Stop planning for failure. Lock your eyes on the target, ignore the noise, and do the reps. The world will eventually have to get out of your way. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, send it to a friend who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for AN Easy Life.